Was it Trump's unpredictability or North Korea's stubbornness? A newly released book is already shaking up the political world. It's called Fallout, written by former US State Department official Joel Wit, and it challenges much of what we thought we knew about the collapse of the Hanoi Summit. February 2019, the world's eyes were fixed on the Metropole Hotel in Hanoi. But what was actually happening behind those closed doors? Analyzing the Korean Peninsula from right here in South Korea. The real story of the peninsula beyond the cliches. This is Two Koreas. Today, we're taking a closer look at Fallout, a book that has quickly become the center of intense debate. Through its revelations, we'll revisit the Hanoi Summit and explore why the talks really collapsed. To understand Hanoi, we first need to recognize one crucial fact. From the moment Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un arrived in Vietnam, they had completely different ideas of what a deal should look like. The Trump administration came prepared for what officials described as a big deal. If North Korea gave up all of its nuclear weapons, fissile materials, nuclear facilities, and ballistic missile programs, the United States would fully lift sanctions. Kim Jong-un, however, came with a much smaller proposal. North Korea offered to permanently dismantle the entire Yongbyon nuclear complex and allow American experts to verify the process. In return, Pyongyang wanted relief from several key UN sanctions that are affecting its civilian economy. Both sides said they wanted an agreement, but in reality, they were negotiating two very different deals. What's even more remarkable is that this gap was never fully closed before the summit began. Normally, working-level negotiators spend months resolving major disagreements before leaders ever meet face-to-face. By the time a summit takes place, most of the difficult details have already been settled. But according to Fallout, that wasn't the case in Hanoi. Key issues remained unresolved until the very last moment. North Korean negotiators repeatedly delayed major decisions, insisting that only Kim Jong-un could make the final call. As a result, problems that should have been resolved by diplomats were pushed directly onto the shoulders of the two leaders. The problem was that both sides appear to have misread each other. North Korea seems to have believed that Trump wanted a diplomatic success badly enough to accept a small deal. Meanwhile, the United States expected North Korea to eventually make broader concessions. Under continued pressure, both assumptions proved wrong. Internal divisions within the Trump administration only made matters worse. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was searching for a diplomatic compromise. National Security Advisor John Bolton was pushing a much harder line, repeatedly invoking the so-called Libya Model and demanding complete denuclearization. The problem was that the phrase meant very different things to each side. Many Americans viewed Libya as an example of voluntary disarmament. North Korea saw it very differently. They remembered what happened to Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, whose regime collapsed after giving up its weapon programs. To Pyongyang, references to the Libya Model sounded far less reassuring than Washington intended. Then came the evening of February 27th. At a formal dinner inside the Metropole Hotel, cameras captured smiles and handshakes. But beneath the surface, the divide remained enormous. Kim Jong-un proposed exchanging the dismantlement of Yongbyon for sanctions relief. The United States demanded far broader denuclearization measures. Washington expected Pyongyang to yield. Pyongyang expected Trump to compromise. Neither side backed down. The next day, President Trump chose to end the summit without an agreement. The planned signing ceremony was cancelled. The joint launch was cancelled. And the summit that many hoped would produce a historic breakthrough ended with no deal at all. One of the book's most revealing details is a personal letter Kim Jong-un sent to Trump in August 2019, several months after Hanoi. According to Fallout, Kim expressed frustration that North Korea had taken steps, such as dismantling its nuclear test site and suspending missile tests, while the United States continued joint military exercises with South Korea. Whether one agrees with that argument or not, the broader trend is clear. After Hanoi, relations between Washington and Pyongyang steadily deteriorated. The negotiations never regained their previous momentum. This leaves us with one of the biggest what-if questions in modern diplomacy. What if the United States had accepted North Korea's smaller proposal in Hanoi? Supporters argue that while the fair short of complete denuclearization, it would have verifiably dismantled Yongbyon, one of the most important facilities in North Korea's nuclear program. Critics counter that shutting down Yongbyon alone would never have eliminated North Korea's broader nuclear capabilities. No one knows which side is right, but what is clear is how dramatically the situation has changed since 2019. North Korea has continued advancing its nuclear and missile programs. It has launched military reconnaissance satellites, and it has moved into what many analysts describe as a de facto military alliance with Russia. Today, in 2026, we are living in a very different security environment. North Korea now officially defines itself as a nuclear-armed state and has incorporated that status into its constitutional framework. Would history have unfolded differently if the Hanoi Summit had succeeded? No one can say for certain, but Fallout makes one argument very clearly. The collapse of the Hanoi Summit was not simply the result of Trump's unpredictability or North Korea's stubbornness. It was the product of miscalculation, mistrust, and negotiations that never truly bridged the gap between the two sides. The real story of the Korean Peninsula, beyond the cliches. This has been Two Koreas. If you found today's briefing helpful, please subscribe and leave a like. And I'd like to hear from you. Should the United States have accepted North Korea's smaller proposal in Hanoi? Or was President Trump right to walk away? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.